Hello, on topic 2, plant tissues, organs and systems. I've got the syllabus here on the left-hand side, and we're going to focus on the big words in the syllabus. These are the ones that we need to know, so I'm just going to highlight them and then we'll find where they are. So yeah, we've got epidermal tissue here, that's a big word. Palisade, mesophyll, spongy mesophyll, xylem, phloem. Meristem's not going to be in this diagram. And further down, it kind of says them again for some reason. It also talks about guide cells surrounding stomata, and then the rest are the same. So let's do the leaf structure first. Again, you can learn your anatomy. This is our upper epidermis. I'm just going to call it UE for upper epidermis. Again, if you're filling this in, you can do it fully. And then this down here is the lower epidermis. Epidermis means outer skin. The upper epidermis has got this layer of wax on it. So there's like a waxy layer on the outside, and that means it's waterproof, which I guess they could ask about. Crucially, there's no stomata on the upper surface, and there are stomata on the lower surface. So in our lower epidermis, we have guide cells. So there's our guide cell. And then the whole is the stomata. Technically, stoma for singular. This layer of tissue is our palisade mesophyll. And if you can see, I'll just zoom in a bit, it's full of chloroplasts. So all of these little kind of like granule things, all these green things are chloroplasts. Yeah, so there's loads of chloroplasts in the palisade mesophyll. The palisade mesophyll is the layer of cells that does the tissue that does most of the photosynthesis. So that's the palisade mesophyll, where the palisade cells are. Then we get to the spongy mesophyll, that is made of spongy mesophyll cells and veins. And in this vein, we have xylem tissue. So all this is xylem. You can tell because it's got a thicker wall. It's reinforced with lignin. And then all these smaller ones, these red ones, are phloem vessels. Okay, so they're like tubes that are going into the screen. And there's air spaces here as well. And in terms of what diffuses in, well, into here during the day comes CO2 because it needs it for photosynthesis. But out comes water. Yeah, so that's H2O as water vapor, and that's transpiration. So transpiration occurs mainly through the open stomata. Very little happens from the upper epidermis because it's got its waxy waterproof layer. And just add a little bit more detail onto here because you'll do photosynthesis in another topic. So from the chloroplast, that's where sugar is going to be transported into. You can't really see that well. I'll go over it. Yeah, so that's like glucose being transported into the phloem. And during the day, if it's doing photosynthesis, also out of here as like a byproduct is going to come some oxygen as well. So that's our leaf structure. Again, it's only a few cells thick. The air spaces allow diffusion of gases. It looks like they can't move from here to here, but in 3D, there'll be a space around it. So these gases can diffuse very easily to the palisade cells. And because all the cells are near to an airspace, then you get lots of evaporation of water from the cells. Again, the cells are just sacs full of water, so water is going to evaporate into the airspace, and therefore the inside of leaves are really humid. They're full of water vapor. So that's the leaf structure. Let's look at root hair cells. It goes on to talk about this as well. So it says should be able to explain how the structure of root hair cells, xylem and phloem, are adapted to function. And then we get onto this thing that I'm going to get onto last of all. The roots are transport substances around the plants, and we've got these words transpiration and translocation. There's transpiration and translocation. So let's take this journey from what moves into the root hair cell. So again, this is very much a diagram, but this is our root hair cell here. So this is our root hair cell, and the root hairs in the soil, and therefore water is going to move into the cell by osmosis. Okay, so the root cells contains a sugary solution, and therefore, or a salty solution, and therefore, water will move by osmosis through the cell membrane, portion membrane, into the root hair cell, and then it goes into here. This is the xylem, and it's just going to move up the xylem, and it's going to move into these cells up here. However, it also leaves via the open stomata. So that's water transport. So let's just label our xylem. So this is a xylem tube. These little rings are lignin. Again, it's a word in the syllabus. I'll come back and highlight that hopefully. And the xylem is just a continuous tubes. A continuous tube made of cells that have had their end walls kind of removed. So so that's our transpiration stream. So this blue line in the xylem is our transpiration stream. Also in the roots, it takes in mineral ions. There's two you need to know at GCSE. There's nitrate ions, plus there's magnesium ions. Yeah, those both ions. And they enter the cell via active transport. So this is active transport. So if I zoomed into the cytoplasm here, we can zoom in, we'd see that those little dots in the cytoplasm are really mitochondria. Yeah, so root hair cells have got lots of mitochondria. I'm just drawing loads of mitochondria here for some reason. So these are all mitochondria that supply the energy for active transport of nitrate ions and magnesium ions from the soil into themselves, and it can move from low concentration to high concentration. And you can imagine that when the nitrates and magnesiums get pumped in by active transport, that's going to make the solution inside the cell more concentrated, therefore water is going to move in by osmosis. Okay, and those nitrate ions and magnesium ions dissolve and they're carried with the water. So there's water and mineral ions going to these cells. And as we know, nitrates, they're needed to make amino acids and therefore proteins, and magnesium's needed to make chlorophyll. So that's the transport of water and mineral ions. So water travels from the roots to the leaves. I should have said that this is like a diagram of a leaf. This would be the stem here, but I'm trying to be quick. Then we get to xylem and phloem comparison. Direction of transport, as we just said, xylem transports from roots to leaves. Water's lost in the leaves. It provides like a suction force almost that pulls it up the xylem from the roots, and it enters the roots by osmosis. The phloem, it goes from leaves, as in they transport sugars from the leaves to growing or active areas. So that growing might be like a potato under the ground, or it could be a flower, it could be a fruit. Active areas tends to be like the root hair cells that have got lots of mitochondria. They need to do lots of respiration, therefore they need the fuel of respiration, so they need some sugar. Xylem, in terms of what's transported, it's water, mineral ions. I've gone for the two that we need to know. Whereas phloem transports sugars made in photosynthesis. Structure of tissue. So they are both tubes, but we need to know that this is a continuous tube. And there's lignin to strengthen the tubes. Whereas phloem, it's kind of semi-continuous. Yeah, so it is a tube, but has it's called perforated end walls. I'm going to draw a little diagram at the side here. So this is phloem. So there's the tube, and then it has these little, they're called sieve plates, really, but yeah, they're perforated end walls. And this has got, if my blue's not a great colour, let's go for green. Green is the cytoplasm. It has like bits of cytoplasm like running through it as well. So the phloem is alive. Okay, and let's just add that at the top. Yeah, xylem is dead. Phloem is living. So yeah, it uses like active transport for movement. And then yeah, name for the transport. This is the transpiration stream. Whereas phloem, it's called translocation, other location. If I did an equivalent little diagram for xylem, it's just a continuous tube. Yeah, you might see little indications of where the cells used to be, but then there's these rings of lignin inside it to kind of keep it open. And then we're going to look at transpiration due to different abiotic factors. Abiotic is just a non-living factor. So I'm going to put a line on here. So the volume of water loss from a plant, I'm going to say that it's going to go up, and then it's going to come down. Well, sorry, it's going to go horizontal, and then it's going to go off again. It's like, how can I explain this? Right, well, that might be when it's in the light. So the stomata are open. So it's easy for them to lose. And this could be a phase where it goes into the dark. Stomata closed. And then this is light again. As in we're going through a day. Light, dark, light, dark. Let's have a day when it's warmer. So if it's warmer, it's going to be steeper. Yep, so that's warmer. As in there's more kinetic energy, Ke. Therefore faster diffusion of water out of the leaf. Let's make it a cold day and it's really humid outside. Well, then it's going to be, I'm going to hardly lose any water. Yeah, so let's call this, let's put a little asterisk here, and let's write about that below. Again, this is just showing what different factors can do. So this is very, yeah, so it's humid outside and cold. So humid, so there's a smaller diffusion gradient. As in, if inside the leaf it's 100% humid and outside the leaf it's 95% humid, then there's only a very small gradient. Small gradient. On my red line, it might be 100% inside the leaf, and outside the leaf it could be 20% humidity. Therefore, there's a steep, there's a big difference, and therefore there's a steep gradient. Yeah, and if it's cold, there's low kinetic energy, therefore low diffusion. So if it's dark, there's low transpiration, low water loss. When it's cold, there's low water loss. When it's humid outside, there's low water loss. And the only last one is just air movement. And this is like, let's get the maximum amount of water loss from this plant. So I'm going to make it warm. I'm going to make it windy, and I'm going to make it really dry outside. And if that's the case, then we're going to lose loads and loads of water. Yeah, really, really quickly. Yeah, so that green line, this is, yeah, warm, dry, and windy. And those are the three conditions that make it mean that you'll get lots and lots of transpiration. I'm trying to keep these to 15 minutes, so I think I'm just about so hopefully I've covered everything in the syllabus there. Again, pay attention to things like this. Detailed structure of phloem tissue and mechanism of transport is not required. But yeah, hopefully I've met everything else. Cell sap, which I just spotted, that's just what's transported. Yeah, sugars made in photosynthesis are transported as sap. It's just a posh name for sugary solution. Okay, I'll stop there.